Good morning to all students and viewers. In this module, we will be discussing about description of flowering plants in botanical terms. In this presentation, we are going to focus on morphology of reproductive parts so that now we can start the presentation. Let us begin with the flower, and before moving ahead we will have a look over different parts of the flower. So we can start with the stalk of flower, which is called as pedicel. Most of the times this flower have leaf-like appendage or outgrowth present at the base, that is called as a bract. Then if you look this is called as thalamus. Then the first whorl of the flower is there, that is called as a calyx. Then the second whorl of the flower is there, that is called as a corolla. Then next, that is third floral whorl is there, that is called as androecium. And the last floral whorl is there, that is called as a gynoecium. So this way there are four different whorls are present, and below that there is thalamus, there is a stalk of the flower, and this leafy outgrowth or appendage may be present, may not be present. Next characteristic under the flower is being studied, that is attachment of flower. If you look into the first flower, stalk is there, and if you look into the second flower, stalk is absent. So if it is present, then that is called as a pedicellate, and if it is absent, then that is called as sessile. The third characteristic feature under the flower is studied, that is presence of floral whorls. Now which floral whorls are there? If you see that this is calyx, this is corolla, this is androecium, and this is gynoecium. Means four different whorls are there. Now if you see here, this calyx is there, this corolla is there, this androecium is there, and this gynoecium is there. All four floral whorls are present, and such type of flower is called as complete flower. But on the other hand, if you look into this flower, here there is a sepal, that is calyx, corolla is there, this is carpel, means gynoecium is there, but one floral whorl is absent, that is androecium, which is absent. And due to this missing floral whorl, this flower is called as incomplete. So if any one of the floral whorls is absent, that flower is called as incomplete. There may be absence of sepal, there may be absence of petal, there may be absence of carpel, only stamen may be there, so that is called as a staminate flower. Here only carpel is present, so that is called as a pistillate flower. So incomplete flowers are like this. The next characteristic is presence of floral whorls. So if you look into the first picture, here the flower is said as complete flower. As you can see here, calyx is there, corolla is there, androecium is there, and gynoecium is there. So this is complete flower. But if you look into this second and third figure, calyx is there, corolla is there, and androecium is there. But in this case, gynoecium is missing. So due to presence of stamens only, this is called as a staminate flower. Here you can see calyx is there, corolla is there, androecium is absent, but gynoecium is present. So due to presence of only gynoecium, this is called as a pistillate flower. Both these are types of incomplete flowers. Here you will learn the symmetry of flowers. So if you look into the first picture, this flower, if you cut the flower from the middle when section is passing through the ovary, and it will have two similar parts from more than one plane. This part will be similar and this part will be similar. If you then this and this part will be similar. So from more than one plane, if there are symmetries, such flowers are called as actinomorphic. If you see in the second picture, if you cut this, it will have symmetry this side and this side. This is bilateral symmetry, and this flower is called as zygomorphic flower. If you look into the third picture, either you cut this way or you cut this way, there is no symmetry at all, and this type of flower is called as asymmetrical flower. Then next characteristic under the flower studied, that is presence of reproductive organs. Now reproductive organs are what? Androecium and gynoecium. So if you look into the first picture, here this is androecium and this is gynoecium, and both these are present, and due to presence of male and female reproductive structure, this flower is called as bisexual. But if you look into the second picture, here ovary is there, these are styles, and here you can see the stigma. But this female part is there, but where is male part? Which is absent. As only female part is present, this is female flower and this is called as a unisexual. Then next is insertion of floral whorls. If you look into this calyx is down, then this is corolla, then the position of androecium, and this is gynoecium. So if you look, the attachment of calyx, corolla, and androecium is below the ovary, and such type of flower is called as hypogynous flower. If you look similarly here, these floral whorls, androecium you can see, petals you can see, ovary is there, and this ovary is superior most in position because below the ovary these are present, and that is again hypogynous flower. But if you look into this ovary is present here. Above the ovary you can see calyx, and above the calyx you can see corolla, this part, and this is above the ovary. So ovary is down, and this is called as inferior ovary, and flower is called as epigynous flower. Then parts of the flower, two different parts are there, essential parts and non-essential parts. First of all, we will see non-essential parts. There are again two types. One is calyx, which is outermost floral whorl. Then this is corolla, second floral whorl. Androecium is the third floral whorl, and gynoecium is fourth floral whorl. Out of that, Androecium and Gynoecium, these are two essential whorls, and calyx and corolla are non-essential whorls. So member of calyx is sepal, member of corolla is petal, member of Androecium is stamen, and member of Gynoecium is carpel or ovary. So we can study these things in detail in next slides. We can start with calyx. So this is stalk of flower and this is calyx. So now we will be concentrating on this calyx part in next few slides. So here first characteristic is studied, that is cohesion. Now cohesion is what? When one member of a particular floral whorl which is attached to the member of same floral whorl, then that is called as a cohesion. Means if calyx, member of calyx is attached to the member of calyx, C to C, member of corolla is attached with the member of corolla, member of androecium attached to the member of androecium, member of gynoecium is attached with the member of gynoecium. This is called as what? Cohesion. If you look into this, this is one sepal, this is another sepal, and this is another sepal. These are free, so they are called as a polysepalous. If you look here, such separate sepals are absent. They are fused together and they have formed a tube-like structure. So due to this fusion, this is called as a gamosepalous. So this is called as a cohesion. Then next is estivation. Estivation is what? Estivation is arrangement of floral whorls when flower is in bud condition. Now if you look here, that I'll draw the diagram 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. If you look the margins of this, these two margins, these two margins, these two and these two. Similarly here in this portion, at this position, at this position and at this position, here also there is no any overlapping pattern of floral parts. So this is velvet type of estivation. But if you look here, this point, this point, this point and this point, one side is out and other side is in. Here it is out, here it is in, here it is out, here it is in, here it is out, here it is in, and here it is out. So this type of estivation is called as a twisted estivation. Imbricate type of estivation, you can see this is completely out. Then you can see that this is completely in, this is alternating, this is alternating, and this is alternating. This is called as imbricate. So one in, one out, and the remaining three are alternating. In quincuncial type of estivation, this is out, this is out, this is in, and this is alternating. So this is called as a quincuncial type of estivation. And vexillary type of estivation generally present with respect to corolla, not in calyx. But see, this is the bigger petal, two adjacent or lateral, that is called as a wing, and two innermost called as a keel, but they are fused together and forming a boat-like structure. So this is called as a keel. These two are called as wings, and this is called as a sternum. And Very interesting, this type of estivation you will see generally in perianth in the members of family Amaryllidaceae, where one whorl which is with three tepals and outer whorl is again with three tepals, and if you look, this is in, this is out, this is in, this is out, this is in, this is out. So this type of estivation is called as alternate imbricate estivation, which is found in family Amaryllidaceae. The next characteristic is duration of calyx. Duration of calyx means what? After fertilization, where the calyx is remaining along with the fruit or not, that is called as a duration. So caudacus means what? This calyx suddenly drop down just after fertilization. It do not remain along with the fruit. In mango, you cannot see the persistent calyx, but in brinjal you can see. In tomato you can see. Deciduous type is there, which is recorded in brassica, that is mustard. It fall off, but it takes little bit time. It do not suddenly fall like a caudacus. That is the difference in caudacus and deciduous. Third type is there, that is called as a persistent, which remains as it is along with the fruit. And this persistent calyx is of two types. So one is marcescent and second is accrescent. So marcescent is a kind of calyx which do not show any growth after fertilization. It remains as it is. It remains persistent. Fruit size grows, but calyx remains as it is. And this case accretion, where calyx grows after fertilization. So along with the size of fruit, persistent calyx also grows, and that is called as an accrescent. Then second floral whorl is there, that is corolla. So if you look, this is stalk, this is calyx, but now we are going to focus this part. A member of corolla is or are petals. Now we will be focusing on this part. See here, first characteristic we can study here, that is number of petals. So simply count the number. This is 1, second, third, fourth, and fifth. That is number. And cohesion, as I already explained, the member of one floral whorl is attached to the member of same floral whorl. Here we are concentrating on petals. So whether one petal is attached with another petal or not. So if you look here, this petal is separate, this petal is separate, this petal is separate, this petal is separate, this petal is separate. So you can separate them like petals of rose. In rose you can see this type of structure. So as every petal is free from each other, and that's why this is called as a polypetals. But if you look into this is one petal, this is another, this is another, this is another, this is another, but they are not separate. They have formed a continuous tube-like structure here. This tubular structure you can see, and this is called as gamopetalous because petals are fused. Here you can see in detail. This is separate petal, this is separate, this is separate, this is separate, and this is separate. 5 separate petals are there. But if you look into this is one, this is second, this is third, this is fourth, and this is fifth. But they have formed a tube. So as they are fused, this is called as a gamopetalous, and this is called as a polypetalous. Here again you can see estivation as we see in calyx. No overlapping at all. Evaluate. Here overlapping, you can see this is in, this is out, this is in, this is out, this is inside. Here back side, this is inside, this is outside, here it is inside, this is outside. Twisted estivation, and this is vexillary that I already explained. This is the bigger, that is called as a standard. then this and this alternating, they are called as wings, and then two innermost are there, they are fusing at the base and they are completely in, these two are alternating and this is completely out. This is alternating, and these two fused, they are completely in, and this is vexillary estivation. This is imbricate and this is quincunxial estivation. Then shape of corolla, if you see, this is one petal, this is another, this is another, this is another, and this is another. 5 separate petals are there. If you see their shape, this is completely circular, and this is called as a rosaceous, and this is completely circular. If you look in this second picture, this is resembling with that of a butterfly. Actually, the papillon is the word from Latin language, and which in English means butterfly, and due to this, the name to this corolla is given, that is papilionaceous. And the another type is there, that is, this is one petal, this is another petal, this is one petal, and this is another petal. They are exactly opposite to each other in crosswise manner, and that is called as a cruciform type of corolla. In this slide, again you can see different types. This is campanulate, simply a bell-shaped structure you can see. This is bilabiate. This is actually upper lip, and here it is lower lip. This kind of arrangement is there. You can see this in ocimum. This is stillet, simply star-shaped. You can see in family Amaryllidaceae. This is ligulate in family Asteraceae. This type is urceolate, that is urn-shaped. Then this is infundibuliform. You can see that it has a funnel-shaped structure. This can be seen in Datura. This is papilionaceous that we seen in previous slide, and this is actually a tubular structure, tube-like, that is seen inside central flowers of Asteraceae, where you can see tubular shape. Then next is perianth. So let us understand what is perianth. So when calyx and corolla are not differentiated, if they are not differentiated, means calyx and corolla are inseparable, then the floral whorl is called as perianth. It is described similarly like calyx and corolla, and the member of perianth is called as tepal. Remember, member of perianth is called as tepal. It is described with respect to following things. See the first one, that is number of petals. For example, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then number of whorls. If you look here, this one is out, this one is out, this one is out, and this is in, this is in, this is in. So they are present in 2 whorls. So whorls to be counted. Then next is cohesion. Cohesion means same to same. Means member of floral whorl is attached to the member of same floral whorl, that is called as a cohesion. So whether these tepals are attached with each other or not. If they are attached, then that is called as a gamophilous. If they are not attached, then that is called as a polyphilous. And next is estivation, as we seen in calyx and corolla. If you look here, 3 are out, remaining 3 are in, and this is alternate imbricate type of estivation, which is typically seen in this flower. Polyanthus tuberosa is the botanical name. Androecium is the third whorl of flower. You can see here this one, and we will be focusing on this part now. So see, first characteristic is cohesion, means same to same, androecium to androecium. Now, if you look here in this figure, all these are stamens and they are attached on the common axis. They are forming one tubular structure, and number of tube is only one, and hence this is called as a monadal first stamen. If you look in the second picture, one stamen is separate and here remaining 9 stamens are together. But bundle wise here it is 1, bundle wise here it is 1 plus 1. So this is 1, this is 1, they are 2 in number, so this is called as a diadelphous condition. Whereas in the third figure, you can see this is one bundle, this is another bundle. I think I will change the color. This is one bundle, this is another bunch, this is another bunch, this is another, this is another, and this is another. Stamens are many in each bunch, but every bunch is separate, and due to many bunches, it is called as polyadelphous. Then another examples are there where you can see these filaments are actually free and these anther lobes are fused. And this condition is called as syngenesis and it is recorded in family Asteraceae. Here you can see the filament is fused and these anther lobes are actually free. Here it is written fused, but not so they are anther lobes are free, and this condition is called as Synandrous condition. This is seen in members of Cucurbitaceae, family Cucurbitaceae. Then adhesion. Now cohesion and adhesion are different. Cohesion is the thing where one floral whorl is attached to the member of same floral whorl, but adhesion means one to other. Means here androecium may be attached to the calyx or corolla, gynoecium may be attached to the androecium. So this is called as adhesion. If you look here, these are the stamens, and if you watch neatly, this green zone is there actually, that is calyx, and these stamens are attached to the calyx, and EP means above and sepalus means calyx. So these stamens are attached to the calyx, so it is called as episepalous. Similarly, here you can see, I'll change the color again. This is one stamen, this is another stamen, this is another stamen. And these stamens, if you look, this is floral whorl, that is called as a corolla, and these stamens here are attached to the corolla. EP means above, petalous means petals or corolla. So they are attached to the petals, that is called as epipetalous condition. Length of the filament can be seen in this slide, where see this is long and this is short length. Here similarly you can see two filaments are long and remaining two filaments are short. So as two are long, that is called as a di, and dynamos is long. Similarly here you can see four are long and two are short. So because of four it is tetra and dynamic means long. So four long and two short, that is called as a tetradynamous condition. Next characteristic is attachment of filament to anther. So this is filament, this is filament, this is filament, this is filament, and these are anther lobes. So if you look in the first case, this filament is attached to the base. So this is basifix. This filament is just above the anther lobe. This is anther lobe, this is another anther lobe. But above the anther lobe, this filament is growing. This is called as the adnate. If you look, this is one anther lobe, this is another anther lobe, and this filament is attached to the dorsal side. Hence this is called as a dorsiflex. In this case, anther lobes are separate from each other, and this is sharply attached at the dorsal side, but this point of attachment is very small, and this can rotate in 360 degree, and due to this ability, this is called as a versatile type of attachment. Next is nature of stamen. If you look in the first picture or here also, that this is corolla tube and stamens are remaining inside. But if you look, this is corolla tube and stamens are coming outside. Here you can see stamens are coming outside, and here stamens are remaining inside. So if they are remaining inside, that is called as inserted. If they are coming outside, then that is called as exserted. Dehiscence of anther is seen in this slide. So here you can see this line of dehiscence is there, and which is facing towards inner side. If it is facing towards inner side of the ovary, then it is called as intrors. If this line of dehiscence is facing towards outer side, then that is called as extrors. The last whorl of flower, that is gynoecium, and it is seen in this slide. This whorl of flower, that is gynoecium, and member is ovary or carpel. Here you can see the same, and we will be focusing on this part of the flower now. Very first characteristic under the ovary is studied, that is called as the number of carpels. So here you can see this is monocarpellary because one bunch of carpels is there. Then bicarpellary, as this part is separate and this part is separate, this is separate and this is separate, so this is bicarpellary. Then this is tri, 1, 2 and 3. This is 1, 2, 3 and 4, tetracarpellary. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, pentacarpellary, and this is multicarpellary. Now next is cohesion. Again same to same, gynoecium to gynoecium. So if you look in this picture, these all structures are actually apocarpus gynoecia, apocarpus ovaries. Same is represented here. This is one ovary, this is another ovary. So all ovaries are separate, and this individual ovary is represented here as a single structure. So this every individual structure is separate from one another, separate from each other, and hence this is called as the apocarpus. Apo means free, carpus means ovules, and here syn means fused, carpus means ovary. So if you see, these are the ovules. I'll change the color. Here you can see this 1, 2, 3, 4, many are there, and they are fused here with the axis, and hence this is called as a syncarpus. See the position of ovary in this slide. If you look into the first picture, here you can see calyx, this is corolla, this is androecium, and this is gynoecium. So position of ovary is above all the floral whorls, and this is called as a superior type of ovary. In this figure, you can see this is calyx, this is corolla, this is androecium, and this is ovary. Ovary is down floral whorls, and that ovary is called as the inferior ovary. Whereas in this picture you can see calyx, corolla, androecium, calyx, corolla, and androecium, which is present to peripheral portion of the ovary. It is neither up or nor down, as it has formed a cup-like structure here, and this kind of ovary is called as semi-inferior ovary. Then number of locules. Locules simply means number of chambers present within the ovary. Now if you look here, only one chamber is there throughout. If you look here, this is 1 and this is second. If you look here, 1, 2 and 3. Here 1, 2, 3 and 4. Here it is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So it is unilocular, bilocular, trilocular, tetralocular and pentalocular. Number of ovules in each locule is the next characteristic we generally study in ovule. So see here, in this case, ovules can be seen. These are many in number. Here you can see these are 5 in number. Here these are 3 in this locule, 3 in this locule and 3 in this locule. 2, 2, 2, 2. So there are 2 in each locule. Similarly here there are 2 in each locule. So this way the number of ovules in each locule is counted. Here you can see the placentation, where this is the margin and these are the ovules attached with the help of placenta to the margin, so it is marginal placentation. If you see here, this is the axis, this is ovary wall, and these ovules are attached to the axis, so axial placentation. This is ovary wall, and these ovules are attached to the peripheral portion of the ovary or wall of the ovary, and that is called as a parietal placentation. If you look here, this is little bit bigger and ovules are little bit away from the center, so that is called as a free central. Then here ovule is attached to the base, basal placentation. This ovule is anatropous, which is inverted, and this is superficial type of placentation, where you can see many membranes are there, as you can see in citrus fruit, in orange, in lemon, and where the many seeds and fruitlets are attached superficially. This is called as a superficial type of placentation. Here it is represented in 3D: marginal placentation, axial placentation, parietal placentation, free central placentation. This is basal placentation. Another example of basal placentation. Then next part is fruit. So here you can see that fruit is fertilized ovary and seed is fertilized ovule. Same way here you can see, because this fruit is formed from one flower and one ovule. This fruit is formed from many ovaries of one flower, and this fruit is formed from entire inflorescence together. So when one flower is there and one fruit is there, that is called as a sepal. When one flower and many ovaries are there, then that is called as aggregate. And when entire inflorescence is involved, that is called as a multiple fruit. We will study in details. Here you can see simple fruit. See, one ovule of one flower or more ovules of syncarpous ovary. Remember, this word is very important. Syncarpous ovary of one flower or one ovule of one flower, if involved in the development of fruit, all these fruits are simple fruits. On the other hand, you can see in the next slide, see here, aggregate type of fruit is developed from many apocarpous gynocea, many apocarpous ovaries. So this is one fruitlet, this is one fruitlet, this is one fruitlet, this is one fruitlet. many different fruitlets are together, and this is actually from one ovary, this is from second ovary, this is from third ovary. So many free ovaries are involved in the development. Similarly, here you can see, I'll change the color. Here you can see some dotted structures are there, and these are actually ripe ovaries, and they are together. So that is called as the aggregate type of fruit. In this case, this is actually a fruit, but before the development of fruit, in this case, this was an inflorescence. Here you can see the axis of inflorescence. Here you can see the flowers, and all the flowers present within the inflorescence, they are involved in the development of entire fruit, and this is called as a composite type of fruit. Then floral formula, this bracteate shown with bract, calyx shown with K, corolla C, perianth P, androecium A, gynoecium G, superior ovary underlined to the G, inferior ovary line above the G, then male, male, symbol of female, symbol of bisexual, symbol of actinomorphic, symbol of zygomorphic. So these, if they are fused, they are shown with brackets. Then adhesion, that line drawn over the symbols like this. Epipetalous condition, episepalous condition, these kind of lines are generally drawn. Then floral diagram, mother axis is represented like this. This is calyx, this is corolla, corolla with nectary, staminodes with this line, stamens like this. Dithecous stamen is represented like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and monothecous is represented with this kind of structure. Then monocarpellary, bicarpellary, polycarpellary, monoadelphous type of stamens. Various characteristics are represented there. Then here floral diagram is represented. This is bract, this is outer perianth, this is inner perianth, these are the stamens. Here you can see the carpel, here you can see bracteole and mother axis. So this way actually the floral diagram is made. You need to watch this presentation repeatedly to remember all the characteristics and how to draw the floral diagram. Otherwise, you will forget this. There is a need of watching this video consistently and continuously. Then only you can learn. Thank you.